Today we are going to start with the new topic, that is structural modifications in roots. Earlier we discussed storage roots, their morphology and anatomy. Now today we are going to discuss roots in relation to respiration, means where roots are modified to perform the function of respiration as well. Okay, so we will discuss morphology as well as the anatomy part, citing few examples. Now, what are mainly the roots which are involved in respiration? So, plants growing in mangroves, these are called swamp areas, where salt concentration is very high, are called mangrove plants or halophytes. This you already know, that plants which are found in the regions where salt concentration of soil is very high, we call those plants as halophytes, and generally these are the marshy areas, swamp areas, so we call them mangrove plants. Now here plants face, see these are the abnormal environmental conditions. Lot of salt is present in the soil, so it's a hypertonic environment, and in order to survive in that environment, definitely they have certain adaptations which are not found in other plants, which we generally call mesophytes. So they have certain characteristic features which differentiate them from other plants. So here the plants face hypertonic environment. So this is one issue. Now another problem is, as well as problem of fixation, because the soil in that region is muddy. Okay, it's normally the shore area where soil is muddy, so lot of water is present there in the soil, because of which the fixation of plant is not proper if it relies on the normal roots itself. So it has to develop certain adaptations like prop roots, stilt roots, etc. for that extra support. So there is another problem, that is the problem of fixation. Aeration. Now aeration, because the water is totally filling the gaps between the soil pores, because of which the soils, they have very poor aeration. So again another adaptation is required, in which the structures develop where lenticels are present, which are meant to compensate this part. And seed germination. Now since the soils, they have high salt concentration, so the germination of seeds in the soil beds is not possible. So that's why they have developed a phenomena called vivipary, means these seeds, they start germinating within fruit itself, and when the embryo part, it comes out of the seed, then they fall on the ground and establish themselves as seedlings. So these plants, that's why they are totally different from other plants, because they have to be a number of adaptations in order to survive that environment. So first, in relation to the fixation and aeration, that is our main concept, where we are going to discuss their modification for respiration. So thus they possess supporting roots like stilt roots, prop roots, etc. Pneumatophores. Pneumatophores are for aeration. Vivipary. Vivipary is for seed germination. Salt secreting glands. These are because they are growing in hypertonic conditions, so the extra salt absorbed with water should be excreted out of the body. So they have salt secreting glands. Then lot of arenchyma. Arenchyma is required in order to have proper gaseous exchange through stomata. Then abundant palisade tissue. That's why these plants, they are lush green in color, and their leaves, they are leathery. They are fleshy as well as leathery. Okay, so these are the common observations as far as the morphology of such plants is concerned. So now we are going to typically take the reference of roots. So we will discuss the morphology of roots modified for respiration. So that is our main concern. So in this case, the very first reference is pneumatophores. So what are pneumatophores? These are respiratory roots found in mangrove plants. Poor aeration of soil initiates halophytes to produce negatively geotropic roots from horizontal submerged secondary roots which are pneumatophores. Okay, these are called pneumatophores. So they are, it is PHORES. So these are negatively geotropic aerial branches of roots which are growing underground as the secondary roots. Now their height, their basic structure, they are 50 to 80 centimeter in height and bear abundant respiratory pores called lenticels. And these lenticels, they are also called, from pneumatophores, these are called pneumathodes. P is silent. So they bear abundant respiratory pores called lenticels near their tips for gaseous exchange. The surface of these roots is covered with cork. Okay, so it's just like other dicot roots. The secondary growth takes place, so towards outer side cork is present. Now examples where we see pneumatophores, the commonest examples are Avicennia, Sonartia, Heritera. Okay, few species of Rhizophora also show the formation of pneumatophores. So, this is the first structure, which is negatively geotropic aerial structure that arise from the horizontal growing underground roots of the plant, and it is meant for respiration because it has abundant lenticels on its surface, and the surface of pneumatophore is corky. It is covered with the cork layers. That is also a different kind of cork which is formed in different layers. We will discuss when we study the anatomy of this pneumatophore in detail. Okay. Now, the second is the presence of horizontal roots which are called the knee roots. These are knee roots or bent roots. They are also formed for respiration in mangroves, and the typical example is in Bruguera. It is IERA. It is a genus where horizontal roots arise at intervals in bent form above ground for aeration. These are called knee roots. The third type is stilt or prop roots. See, we generally study these roots for additional support. There are number of plants in mesophytes as well as in helophytes which give off the vertically growing roots from their horizontal stem branches for additional support, and they are called prop roots or pillar roots. And similarly, the roots they arise from the lower nodes of the stem, obliquely growing roots, they are called stilt roots. Now, as far as these mangrove plants are concerned, in them these roots they serve the additional purpose of gaseous exchange as well, because they may have lenticels. So, there we give the reference of stilt and prop roots. So, this is in case of Rhizophora. In Rhizophora, stilt or prop roots possess lenticels, LE, lenticels on the lower branches, on the lower portions of these roots for gaseous exchange. Then we have root floats. These are found in a hydrophyte called Ludwigia, or this is called Juicea. Okay. So, in this hydrophyte, it is Ludwigia or Juicea. So, in this hydrophyte, some roots get modified to form root floats. Okay. So, these are the structures, we will make its diagram also. These are the structures which are present above water level. So, they help in floating as well as they have abundant aerenchyma which helps in aeration. So, they solve the dual purpose. So, these are called root floats. These help in floating as well as aeration of plant. Okay, so basically this is a hydrophyte. So there also roots are helping in respiration. So you need to mention this example. Then the last type we have is epiphytic roots. And this is in case of orchids. In orchids, some aerial epiphytic roots develop to absorb moisture from air. These have multi-layered non-living cells. So basically in this, the special kind of cells are present which are called velamen. So multi-layered non-living cells called velamen are present for water absorption. Okay, these are hygroscopic in nature, so they can absorb the moisture present in air. So basically these are meant for that purpose, but once the velamen tissue is saturated with water, then it starts performing the function of aeration. Okay, so these bear pneumatodes, means lenticels, which help in gaseous exchange during the periods when roots are saturated with water. Okay, so this is a fifth category where velamen tissue is present, whose chief function is absorption of water from the air present around epiphytes, because epiphytes are the plant growing on another plant. So their roots are also suspended in air and they help in the absorption of moisture from air, but simultaneously they have lenticels also which perform the function of respiration when the roots are totally saturated with water. Okay, so these are the examples, different categories where roots are helping in respiration. So now we need to make diagrams of these. So the first one is of pneumatophores. You will show horizontal root branches. This is the underground part, and corresponding to each aerial branch, that is pneumatophore, the roots are present towards the lower surface, and you can show branching as well. At multiple levels branching can be shown. So this cross section, that is to be erased. So on this also we will show one pneumatophore. So pneumatophore, aerial branches, peg-like structures, but these are sometimes very long, they may reach 80 centimeters. You can show variable length, okay, and one we are showing at this level. So towards the lower side you will show normal adventitious roots, 2-3 branches, Now on these pneumatophores, towards their tips, abundant lenticels are present. So you will show small circles towards tips. These are lenticels, or we call them pneumathodes. So this is the structure of pneumatophores. So we have lenticels. These are horizontal roots. These are adventitious roots. And the vertical branches are pneumatophores. Now the second case is of knee roots. For knee roots, we are taking the example of Bruguera. These are the roots in case of Sonartia. So for Bruguera, you will draw a trunk. Then there is underground portion. Here also you can mark the underground part, the level, which can be represented with dots. That this is a soil area. Actually, it's a muddy floor. It has soil as well as abundant water. Okay. So in this case, you will make trunk, and then there is a root system at this level. Let's suppose this is the level of ground. So from base, many, we are showing here only two kinks or knee roots, but there can be many. It's all around the trunk. So you can show two branches, just erase the cross sections of the soil level. Similarly here. And on these, lenticels are present. See, except for the root floats, all other adaptations that we are discussing, they have lenticels. Okay. So this is the trunk part, and this is below soil area. Not below soil, it's below ground. So we have lenticels, and these are called knee roots, and these are horizontal roots. So this is a structure of knee or bent root, and we have taken the example of Bruguera. Now the third one is a stilt or prop roots as found in case of Rhizophora. So we are not going to draw complete structure of the shoot part, the crown. We will only represent 2 or 3 branches. So let's suppose this is, it's not perfectly straight, slightly asymmetrical structure, and we have the crown of leaves at the top. They are branched. You can show multiple levels of branching, and on them the leaves are fresh green lens shaped leaves. Okay, so this you can draw on all the branches. Make them double. Now from here, okay, from the tip portion, because generally the root system is more developed as compared to shoot. So right from the tip part where the stem branching stops, you will observe multiple stilt roots arising, and when we talk about different species of Rhizophora, in few cases you will observe prop roots as well. So you can show abundant roots which branch as they reach the level of soil. Okay, you can differentiate this area. This is the trunk part. So they show branching, and this is the mud level. Okay, we can show leaves on few branches. Okay. So this is a case of stilt roots, and we are discussing the specimen Rhizophora. Basically, when we talk about Rhizophora mangle, there we see prop roots, and there are numbers other species, for example Rhizophora mucrodata or Rhizophora racemosa, in which we see stilt roots. Okay, so that's why we have discussed it under a common heading, as the different species in case of Rhizophora, they have different kind of the supporting roots with them. So we have drawn stilt roots here, and the last type, that was the root floats. We are not going to draw a diagram of this because that will be related to anatomy. So in the morphology we have root floats. So in case of root floats, just a small diagram, we have the hydrophytic plant called Ludwigia, which gives off adventitious roots. So you can show 2 or 3 tufts of adventitious roots. Okay, and just the above these points we have the shoot part where the leaves are present. Slightly heart shaped leaves, they have clear cut single vein. So here at the base you will observe few fleshy structures which are called root floats. Okay. Similarly here also you can show 2 or 3 leaves if they are not fully developed. So at the base few lenticular structures called root floats. And these are adventitious roots. So this is the last category, root floats. and we are discussing the example of Ludwigia, also called Juicia. Here also. So this is regarding the morphological part as far as roots are involved in respiration. In next lecture we will discuss the internal structure of the respiratory roots. Thank you.